Hello and welcome to another IB chemistry video with Mr. S. Today we're going to be looking at dative bonding, which is another type of covalent bonding, in which the shared pair of electrons originates solely from one of the atoms involved in the bonding, as opposed to normal covalent bonding, where the shared pair originates from both the atoms involved. Now, we're going to look at some common examples that come up in the IB exam, the ones to look out for. So, let us start with carbon monoxide, CO. Now, the best way to approach drawing these structures is trial and error, to think about how many outer shell electrons each atom has and how they best share those electrons to make a full outer shell. Usually 8. Of course, there's the exceptions of expanded octets, and here we go. So, carbon has 4 electrons, and oxygen has 6 electrons in the outer shell. Now, we want to achieve that both these atoms have a full shell of 8. How can we approach this? To begin with, we start making some bonds. Start with a typical, usually oxygen bonds twice. So let's put 2 electrons of carbon in the middle here, and 2 from oxygen. So at this point, oxygen is happy with the arrangement because it has 8 electrons in the outer shell. However, carbon only has 6. Now, we could add another carbon electron into the mix and put it bonding with oxygen. However, that would leave carbon, even if we added another electron from oxygen, it would leave with oxygen having too many electrons, and oxygen is in period 2, so it cannot have an expanded octet, and carbon with 7 only. So this scenario does not work. So this is where trial and error comes into play. So this is where we can use dative bonding. Instead of using another carbon electron, we use one of the pairs of oxygen to donate both of them to the bond. Let's just move these other shared pair electrons here. So this is where the dative bonding comes in. Now both atoms have 8 electrons in their outer shell. So if we draw it a little bit more condensed with lines, we draw a dative bond with an arrow pointing to where the electrons are being donated to. They originate from oxygen and they're being shared towards carbon. So this is carbon monoxide with a dative bond. Now let's look at another common example, which is the ammonium ion NH4 1+. So ammonia has this structure here. Nitrogen has 5 electrons in the outer shell. So we can put that here. And each hydrogen gives 1 electron to make this shared pair of electrons. So this is ammonia, NH3. Now, to make NH4, what happens is a proton, or H+, approaches NH3. And the only way to give the H+ some electrons is for the ammonia to donate its lone pairs here to the H+. So we end up with this structure of ammonium, where we have a dative bond between nitrogen and that proton as such. So usually we see a bracket around the structure with a positive charge around it. So these are the 2 most common examples of dative bonding: carbon monoxide and the ammonium ion. Thank you very much for listening.